Okay.
All set? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Hi, families. It's Mrs. Smith and Mrs. Boyle. What we wanted to do is just take a few minutes to talk about a strategy that we call wait time. So, wait time is the time that your child needs to process auditory information that is being said to them. So, what we're talking about is that during a meeting, during like calendar or Mrs. Boyle's lessons or my whole group lessons, when we ask a child a question, there should be an appropriate amount of wait time for them to respond before you immediately jump in to reprompt them. So, for example, if I were to hold up my phone and ask the child, what color is this? I'm going to let them have a few seconds to process the question, what color is this? So when you unmute their mic, I still want you to give them a few seconds to answer on their own. If they we don't The problem is we don't want them to be given the answer. We want to see if they're able to respond themselves. So what we're finding is that when we unmute the mic, we're hearing a lot of parents immediately giving the answer or telling them what to say. That's where we kind of want to allow this wait time for them to be processing the answer and then have us prompt them. Ms. Boyle, do you want to say any more to that?
Yes, so definitely we want them to rely on the teacher input,
Mm-hmm.
like Haley's saying. So that wait time is important. It is okay that we expect that they're not going to immediately answer.
Mm-hmm.
We want to avoid you repeating the information because that just gets your child learning a behavior of I need to hear something multiple times before I answer. And we don't
Mm-hmm.
want to give that skill level. We want them to hear it once. If they need to process it, that's fine. Also, it reduces the amount of auditory input that is coming into them. So if they're hearing it from Mrs. Smith and then they hear it from you once or twice more, that's just a lot of extra auditory input. So we're going to ask you if your child does need a strategy to number one, start with the wait time
Mm-hmm.
and allow us to repeat it if we need to.
Mm-hmm.
And number two, if they need a little help, we're going to kind of remove that auditory piece and kind of add more visual support to get them to listen. So there are a couple of strategies we can do for visual support. Like number one is like the listening strategy, or Mrs. Smith has like the visuals that she uses in her class.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yep.
then you could also kind of like point to the screen to remind your child to be like sometimes they're wanting to just talk about something else. You can kind of just say, listen, wait, listen, and point to the screen to remind them to say, look at your teacher. But again, don't prompt with, look at your teacher, it's time to listen. Just kind of give them the little visual cues, or even just modeling. I put in here, like, model your best listening or ready to learn examples, just by modeling, like sitting, waiting
Mm-hmm.
and looking and just showing the model versus like giving them the directions, like sit down, listen, pay attention. um it is okay that we expect that of preschoolers. Like that is
Mm-hmm.
just, that is age appropriate. That way,
Especially in this learning environment.
so just even like the less I would put in here, like visuals more than verbal, like visual
Yeah,
more than
visual
verbal.
and gestural. So like giving, like, instead of saying, listen, listen, you can just use your ear. You can just use your ears and show them. Less is more right now for them. So the less prompting, the less verbal that you're giving them, the better. Also, we don't want them to be turning to you to be prompted, because when we're in a classroom, they don't have an adult right by them to look for that prompt. We want to make sure that they're looking at me or Mrs. Boyle, because we want to be the ones prompting them and not the person beside them. So we want their focus on us. Um, so that's really the main goal right now. And we understand that it kind of feels very like pressured. When it's your child's turn, you want them to respond right away. You want them to have the correct answer. But the thing is, this is our opportunity to find out what they really know and what they're understanding. So if you're just giving them the answer, it's hard for us to understand if they really understand the content that we're giving them. But we know it feels a little awkward and if there's silence, but that's okay because, if your child needs a little extra time, that's fine because the other children are working on being patient and listening and using those whole body listening strategies. So it's really a learning opportunity for everyone. So please don't feel pressured. And I know it feels a little awkward, but it's okay. And we just want to let you know that it's all right to have that time.
Right. And prior to any of the sessions, you can just tell them before the session, like, oh, it's time for Mrs. Smith's class. We're going to sit and, and use our best listening. That's why Mrs. Smith always does the high five promise at the beginning and kind of sets the expectation. Same thing at home. So hopefully, if hopefully this helps. We understand that you want your child to be successful. We as well, but team effort and it's a learning curve for all of us. So
Mhm.
hopefully this helps.
Yeah. Thank you guys so much for taking the time to watch this video. We'll see you soon.
Thank you.
Bye.